Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am so pleased to introduce the First Coast Flute Choir. First Coast Flute Choir members have been making sweet music together since 2014. All are volunteers with various backgrounds. Players are linked by their love of the flute. Members include Angela Muller, Tom Johnson, Chelsea Roberts, Marissa Martz, Emma Druggan, Patty Maddox, Jennifer Backmeister, and conductor Zach Sullivan. Their first piece is titled Entry of the Gladiators by Julius Fusick, arranged by Bill Holcomb Jr. Thank you, that was fabulous. The opening words today are by Terry Tempest Williams, who is currently a writer in residence at Harvard Divinity School. Once upon a time, there was the simple understanding that to sing at dawn and to sing at dusk was to heal the world through joy. The birds still remember what we have forgotten, that the world is meant to be celebrated. Come, let us worship together. Jennifer Backmeister will come light our chalice for us this morning. Deep calls unto deep, joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of love, of peace, and of hope. And as one flame lights another, it does not grow less itself. we pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we can. Please rise now in body or spirit for the call to worship. The words are printed in the order of service. Welcome again, everyone, to our liberal religious community. As a member, I affirm and promote the values expressed in the 7 principles of the UUA, which can be found on the back of your order of service. Unitarian Universalism is my chosen faith because its religious approach is grounded in the 4th principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, a search that does require some participation on my part. BBUUC is a welcoming congregation who takes pride in its friendly, open-hearted welcome to all who pass through our doors. If you are new here, welcome to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's recently found us. Rather than gathering because we all have the same beliefs, we are an intentional community gathered around our shared promise to support each other's individual spiritual journeys. We are also intentional about bringing all ages together. In today's world, that often doesn't happen, but we think it's important to have an adult friend ask a child or youth how they are or what they are excited about, and where a 30-year-old can have a chat with a 70-year-old about life while having a cup of coffee after the service. So that's a little bit about us. We hope that you can stay for refreshments and tell us a little bit about you. To learn more about our church events and activities, see bbuuc.org, and for more information about our denomination, check out the website at uua.org. Please rise once again in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
love that now. I need a volunteer for the Wonder Box today. It's going to have to be somebody that's willing to open the box and possibly stay with me to help with this process. Do I have any volunteers? I see Laurel. Laurel, come on down, friend. Good morning, Laurel. How are you today? Good. I'm so glad to hear that. What do you think could be in our box today? I don't know either. Want to check? What do you see? You can turn around and show everybody. What do you think that represents on a paper? I'm going to hold it up. The five senses. That's right. Here, I'll hold it wrong. So I wanted to talk about the five senses today, and it's something called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's a tool that I want to share with you, and I want to share with the whole congregation. Will you help me teach it? Okay, so what we're going to do is first, I want you to take your hand and spread your fingers. And then I want you to place it on your heart. And let's take a deep breath together. Are you ready? Now, Laura, what I'd like to do is invite you and everybody else to look around the sanctuary. I'd like you to find 5 things you can see. And as you see them, I want you to say it out loud to yourself quietly what I see. So, I see Laurel. I see the wonder box. I see the chalice. I'm going to give you this opportunity for you to see 5 things. So what do you see? Oh, the chair. Take a moment to look, really look at them. How do they serve you? What do you see in them? What's the color? What's the shape? How does it improve your life? Right? The chair is pretty. Next, I want to invite you to find 4 things you can touch. And when I say something you can touch, it can also be something you feel. Like I feel the hair on the back of my neck. I feel the chair. I feel my heartbeat. So what kind of things do you feel or touch? You can touch. Hair. You feel your clothes. You can feel the texture on the chair. Yeah. Maybe the chair underneath you. Yeah. So I give you this opportunity. What are the 4 things that you can touch right now? Think about them. How do they make your life better? You can say them out loud quietly to yourselves too. All right, so now we're on what number? We're on number 3. This one's going to be harder because you're going to have to really focus. What are 3 things you hear? You hear what? Silence. You hear silence. What else do you hear? You hear what? A beautiful music being flipped. You hear an AC, which is like awesome. So think for a moment, how do these things bring beauty to your life? How do they make your life better? What is it that you're hearing? And I invite you to listen to the silence in between because that's where the magic happens. What is it that you hear in the silence? Now we're on number 2. Number 2 is smell. Now that might be a little bit harder, but I want you to think for a moment. What are 2 things you can smell? And if you can't smell anything right now, what are 2 things you would like to smell? I would like to smell fresh cut grass. What's one of your favorite things to smell? Cake. Coffee. Right now I can smell coffee. And I smell that smell of gathered community of like shampoos and soaps. And it's a beautiful smell. And what's the last? We have one more that we're going to do. Which one? Well, you're going to decide. How about taste? And again, you're going to think, how do I taste something? Stop for a moment. Really stop and think. What do you taste right now? Do you taste the orange juice you had for breakfast? Do you taste the coffee? And if you can't taste anything, or maybe the toothpaste, if you can't taste anything, what would you like to taste? Yeah. Take that hand again, spread those fingers. Let's put it on our heart. Let's take a deep breath. I hope that from this lesson today that we learned that everything we need to ground us is right here and in our senses. That we can see beauty and hear beauty and we can celebrate life even when we're stressed or we have anxiety or even if we're angry. You can take thought and find the beauty that surrounds you, right? Ground yourself with nature and with the things that you can find. With that, our lesson is told. Until the next time, what do you think? So we're going to, Laurel, if you'll pass our flame from one generation to the next. Thank you. And we invite you to remain seated and sing us out to hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace.
Those of you who know me know I like vocabulary. I had to look up a new word this week. A pavane is a stately dance in slow duple time, popular in the 16th and 17th centuries, and was performed in elaborate clothing. First Coast Flute Choir's next piece is titled Pavane, Opus 50 by Gabrielle Fourier. There you go, Fourier. My gosh, that was so beautiful. Thank you. The offering that sustains the ministry of this congregation will be collected today by our offertory ushers, Ted Clisby and Chuck Smithers, and will be followed by the offertory hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Donna Zimmerman is a longtime resident of Jacksonville who had a timeout for a mere 18 years in Dallas. During that time, she was active in the UU church there. Her background is in social services. She was the executive director of Lutheran Social Services of Northeast Florida, where she started several programs, including the first HIV/AIDS services in the region provided by a professional organization. She is retired and spends her time on the worship committee and as a chaplain for our pastoral care team. Her sermon today is titled Emergency Confetti. Donna, the pulpit is yours.
Thank you, Kris. Eight-year-old Joey was so excited to be going to the hardware store with his dad. After he got settled in the car, Joey asked his father, "Do you want me to throw the confetti in my pocket?" And Dad said, "No, confetti in the car? Wait, why do you have confetti in your pocket?" Joey said, "It's my emergency confetti. I carry it with me everywhere in case I come across something to celebrate." That's actually a true story. And when I first heard it, after getting a big smile on my face for the sheer joy that Joey put out, I immediately thought, wow, that would make a great sermon title. However, since a sermon has to have a few more words than a Twitter feed, I set about looking for a message that I could craft that was born from that wonderful tweet. May is Mental Health Month, and our UU Soul Matters theme for the month is Embracing Beauty. Let's see if we can weave those two things together and come up with something beautiful to embrace and celebrate. We Unitarians draw from many sources to inform our spiritual journey. This morning, I'm going to use information from the scientific world and connect that to our UU principles to see if we can find the motivation to be more like Joey in how we look at the world. Are you with me? So imagine you're driving to work tomorrow. You're on I-95, tooling along, it's a beautiful day, and before you know it, somebody cuts you off right in front of you, just runs right across you in order to get off that exit ramp that they somehow didn't notice was coming and they were in the wrong lane for. Now you know what's going to happen. Your heart is racing before you even know it. A quick anger rises in you. Your fingers clutch the steering wheel. Perhaps a few colorful words leave your mouth. Even though it was just a matter of seconds, it continues to tie your stomach in knots each time you tell the story to someone else at work. There's a good chance you're going to feel a bit out of sorts throughout the day, distracted, maybe even a little less productive. You don't really attribute it back to that minor incident that happened a short time ago. You might try to counterbalance your out of sorts, unsettled feelings with a quick shot of endorphins from junk food, mindless web surfing, watching baby billy goats on TikTok, or ducks laying upside down when every other duck is right side up. This only compounds the problem because now you're down on yourself for eating that Krispy Kreme donut, maybe 2, and you just blew your good intentions to stick with your plan to eat healthy. You've ticked off your coworker who sees you zoning out on TikTok when you're supposed to be working on that really important project that's on a deadline and has lots of visibility to the higher ups. And at the end of the day, you go home with all of the goodwill of Grumpy Cat. What a chain reaction. Surely this is not all due to that minor incident that lasted a mere few seconds and was hours ago. How could one negative instance have such a powerful effect that it colors your entire day? Well, my friends, we can blame it on our cave-dwelling ancestors. A very long time ago in our evolutionary history, paying attention to bad, dangerous threats in the world was literally a matter of life and death. Those who are more attuned to danger and paid more attention to the bad things around them were the most likely to survive. That also meant that they were able to hand down those genes that made them more attentive to danger. So here we are today. Our brains are hardwired to scout out the bad stuff and to zone in on it. However, the threats today are no longer saber-toothed tigers. Our brains are designed to keep us safe at lightning fast speed, and it can't afford to take the time to distinguish if you are being the victim of a charging T-Rex or a Dodge Charger that almost took you out on I-95 this morning, or a remark that doesn't bruise our body, but bruises our egos. To our brains, it is all a threat to our safety. Now, tons of research tells us that our brains have evolved to react much more strongly to negative experiences rather than positive ones. In order to keep us alive, our brains are set up to search out and fixate on the threat. There's even a name for it. It's called negativity bias. And it can have a power of effect on your behavior, on your decisions, and even on your relationships. Have you ever had an impromptu speaking moment and lost your train of thought? You know that no one will ever forget how tongue-tied you got in that momentary case of jitters. And that might lead you to hesitate to speaking up in another situation just for fear of getting tongue-tied again. Or imagine you've been overweight all your life, back in a time where there were no clothing choices for larger women. At one point, you lose weight and you can finally buy real clothes for the first time. And even though you're not used to wearing something stylish, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You know you look good. When you model your new outfit for your then husband and he says to be, "Oh, yeah, looks fine. It looks like you have one less chin." Yeah, I can tell you that it rocks your budding confidence in that moment, but also any time you think of wearing something that's a little bit different than your normal style. And it can affect your actions when you attempt to do or say anything out of your comfort zone because your biggest fear is looking foolish. Criticisms, or even perceived criticisms, which our brains take as a threat, have a greater impact on us than compliments, and bad news draws much more of our attention than good news. Okay, well, good news. Now that you're aware of it, easy peasy. We can just talk ourselves out of it. Simple, huh? Done and dusted. Oh, not so fast, not so fast. Remember that whole evolution thing that hardwires us? Not only that, but our brain handles positive and negative information in completely different areas of our brain. Negative things produce a much faster and stronger response in our brain. We recognize them quicker and we dwell on them longer. That explains why bad first impressions can be so difficult to overcome and why past traumas of emotionally debilitating experiences can have such long lingering effects. Our bias towards the negative leads us to pay more attention to the bad things that happen, making them seem much more important than they really are. Survival, remember? Originally it was physical survival, now it's more psychological survival. Our brains are trying to keep us protected from what can hurt us. That's what they are designed to do. So how does that impact us in the here and now? Well, I started this message with getting off in traffic. Negative thing, out of nowhere, potential actual physical damage. Almost before we can consciously process it, our brain is well ahead of us to keep us alert, to keep us alive. Each time we think about that close call we had, and each time we retell the story, we are back in the moment, and our brain is alert to that scary negative moment all over again. Have you ever been at a meeting where you're cooking on all burners and you're brainstorming and you're saying things and it's going great, and somebody says, "Gee, I don't get what you're saying. Could you explain that to me?" And your brain's going, "Oh my gosh, what did I forget? How could I have said it better? How could I have said it different?" And your mind is tripping. Have you ever painted your kitchen a new color and everybody likes it and one person says, "Whoa, bold choice. Who would have thought you could paint a kitchen that color?" We can hear 99 good things, but the one bad thing sends us to the crisis line in a New York minute. I'm pretty sure we could all come up with situations where we took something as a possible criticism and it stopped us in our tracks as we fixated on the real or perceived threat. So now you're sitting here thinking, well, that's a nice biology lesson, Donna, but what does that really have to do with UU principles or really of any spiritual value? Well, that's a fair question. To my way of thinking, going to church on Sunday morning is not a tick-the-box thing to do because I want to be on Santa's nice list rather than naughty list. I don't want to check the box. I want to come here to enjoy the community of people. Okay, the refreshments too, okay. And to be inspired by the music, as we certainly were this morning, I felt as though I should have come up here to give my sermon by juggling something or doing somersaults with that gladiator music that you played in the beginning. That was remarkable. I'm here to be inspired by the readings and to learn something from the sermon, to be challenged, to look at things in a new way, or even in just a slightly different way, and then go out and do my best to take those learnings and implement them. So what did I take from Joey's emergency confetti story? Yes, we all celebrate the milestones in life, the birthdays, the anniversaries, the big holidays, the promotions, the moving to get a new job, good luck to you in Orlando. Those are all the biggies. However, I'm also suggesting that we learn to recognize and celebrate the everyday little things. We can't change our hardwiring, but we can look forward to the joy of the ordinary. Our seventh principle tells us that we respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Now let's think about that. The way I act is a part of the web that touches other living things, that impacts them. To continue with the web analogy, imagine a spider web, and there's a spider up there, way far on the far side of the spider web, and a little bug lands over here and just barely lands. But the spider can feel the vibrations all across the web. And you know what's in store for that bug. Okay, we won't go there. Doesn't it follow that my actions vibrate across the interdependent web of life of which we are all a part? And therefore, I owe it to myself and I owe it to others and my world to do my best to modify actions even when they are driven by my cave-dwelling hard wiring. The choice to eat that Krispy Kreme, or two, after getting cut off on I-95 may have had its genesis in my brain, but I don't get to blame the driver who cut me off for those donuts I ate. That was my decision. And that decision left me mad at me and perhaps a little bit out of sorts with people all around me the rest of the day. And even though it's more tied to an emotional gut punch, my lack of confidence in my style choices 35 years ago, based on an insensitive remark about the new clothes I wore, may have been initiated in my brain by that evolutionary safety mechanism. But if I let my brain's need to protect me from the negative things and haunt me and affect my decision-making process, just imagine the way I can close myself off from lots of experiences and opportunities in life because I fear the consequences of a negative outcome more than I desire the potential of a positive one. I wouldn't have gone ziplining in Alaska, even though when Cindy and I signed up for it, I really didn't know what a zip line was. I thought I was going to be in some sort of basket or something. I didn't know. And when we went snorkeling in the Caribbean, especially because I was born in Florida, but I don't know how to swim. And I couldn't see how I could stay up, but I had my vest on and I had my goggles on and my snorkel, and I went snorkeling. And I saw something I never would have seen if I let my fear keep me on the boat and say, I'll watch the purses, not a problem, I'm here for you. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go around singing Kumbaya and dance through life wearing rose-colored glasses. Bad things and bad people exist. We know that. The world we live in is indeed sad, worrisome, scary. Fill in the adjective of your choosing. However, those terrible, awful, no good, horrible things coexist with so much good stuff. Our brains will steer us to focus on the bad, but it is in our power to consciously make the effort to also see the good. Yes, the price of gas and groceries sucks. And my heart melted when I held my daughter's 1-week-old kittens in my hand. Russia's war against the Ukraine is horrifying. And I get to witness the sunrise on the river when Cindy and I drive across Julington Creek 3 days a week to go work out. The state of our political processes and the active work to take away our rights is despicable. And I get to walk out in my yard every morning and see the caladiums poking up through the soil and unfolding their leaves just a little bit more each day. Now, did you notice I didn't make an attempt to find some kernel of good in those bad things? That's a story for a different theme. What I did was acknowledge that ugly exists and also find that beauty exists around all of us too. They coexist. They don't cancel each other out. And if I can be more like Joey, I will be ready to see and celebrate the web of beautiful things that's all around me. Most of the time, good experiences are pretty mild, something we take for granted, sometimes barely even see. The sunrise, the baby kitten, the flowers. You will reinforce positive patterns in your brain if you stay with those good things for 20 or 30 seconds instead of getting distracted by something else or just the busyness of your day or going down that rabbit hole that leads to nowhere. The key is to let those good things settle in. Don't push them aside. Savor them for as long as you can, because you need them, considering how we're hardwired. No, you are not going to overcome 3.5 billion years of evolution by smelling the roses. But if you make a conscious effort to see the roses and celebrate their beauty, you have a good chance of combating your negativity bias. That can make you generally a more positive person to be around, to work with, to be friends with, to be the spouse or partner of. You can direct your energy to doing what you can to work to solve the problems of the world in small ways, and doing that good work you will be bringing to the more balanced person you are becoming, and to be a part of that interdependent web of existence to which we are all connected and that we all impact. In order to help you remember to find the reasons to seek out those things to celebrate when you leave here, excuse me, you will have your own little packet of emergency confetti that the ushers will have for you at the back of the sanctuary. No, now I don't expect you to toss the confetti around the next time you see a sunset or when you're singing at the top of your lungs as you're going across the Buckman with the top down and it's a beautiful day. That's just me. Okay. But I hope you will tack it to your bulletin board at work or put it inside your medicine cabinet to remind you of Joey and to find the reasons to celebrate. I will leave you with the words from Read, Love, Learn. Someone once told me to always live for the little things in life. Live for the 5 a.m. sunrise, the 5 p.m. sunsets, where you'll see colors in the sky that aren't usually there. Live for road trips and bike rides and music in your ears and the wind in your hair. Live for the days when you're surrounded by your favorite people. Live for the little things because they will make you realize what life is all about. This is what it means to be alive. May you live in radical amazement. Don't wait to celebrate only the big things and the milestones. You're going to have your emergency confetti to remind you to celebrate the ordinary and see the magic everywhere, because I promise you, it is everywhere, if only you look. May it be so.
Thank you, Donna. What a wonderful message. Will you please rise one last time for the closing hymn, number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky. Jennifer, will you return to extinguish the chalice for us this morning? As this chalice is extinguished, let us continue to be bearers of the light in the world by living our message. Listen to the words of Abraham Joshua Herschel. Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement, to get up every morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. May it be so. Until we come together again, I bid you peace. Amen, namaste, and blessed be.